Hello, and welcome to this recorded presentation about the Great Southern Food Community Project. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we are viewing this video. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and the beautiful ocean and thank them for protecting this country for thousands of generations. I respect all elders, past and present. So here we have pictured our food community team, which is led by Dr. Stephanie Godrich. We have Professor Amanda Devine, Associate Professor Mel Stoneham, Isabel Kira, Jess Doe, and Emily Humphreys, and together we make up the Food Community Project team. The Food Community Project aims to identify, map, evaluate, and strengthen government and community food security initiatives across the WA regions to support food security action. So we're conducting this work across 6 WA regions, including the Wheatbelt, Midwest, Great Southern, Kimberley, Pilbara and Goldfields. And in this recording, we'll be focusing specifically on the Great Southern Food Community Project findings. For some geographical context, the Great Southern region spans over 39,000 square kilometres, includes 13 local government areas and has a population of over 61,000 people. This graph here represents the median age range of residents in the Great Southern region. Almost half of the population is aged between 25 to 65 years, and almost 1/4 are 65 years or over, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Throughout 2022 to 2023, the Food Community team conducted interviews with government and community-led food security initiative leaders across the Great Southern region. We conducted interviews with 24 participants, and most of those participants had a coordinator, program coordinator, project manager, team lead or fundraising officer position, and others included CEOs, chairs, EOs, presidents, health professionals, and a volunteer. The participants we interviewed represented 30 initiatives across the Great Southern region, and initiatives were categorised as emergency food relief and community programs, community gardens and food swapping groups, food literacy and health promotion projects, businesses, networks or alliances, farmers markets and food events, and policies or strategic plans. And as you can see here, majority of initiatives across the region, so 9 initiatives, were classified as emergency food relief and community programs, and then 7 were classified as community gardens and or food swapping groups, and another 7 were classified as food literacy and health promotion projects. Then you can see the remaining participant demographics listed on this slide. The Food Community team also mapped the interviewed initiatives across the lifespan to showcase where the focus areas of the initiatives are and where there are opportunities. So as you can see, majority of the initiatives that we've interviewed are focused on school-aged children and adults, and they are less focused on early years, youth-aged, and senior or older adults. The Food Community Project works through this systems change framework. We have 9 different focus areas that are organised into our interview guide that we use to ask questions of the people who are running food initiatives. Focus Area 1 is about shaking things up. It's disrupting the status quo and the current way of working. Focus Area 2 is about joining up and rippling out to bolster a potential new way of working. Focus Area 3 is about creating identity and combining resources, which helps to move the system of initiatives towards a new way of working. Focus Area 4 is about embedding, watching and responding to that new way of working. And Focus Area 5 is about building collective knowledge. So it's about helping people keep informed about the big picture of food security. These first 5 focus areas are about helping communities to shift towards a more effective way of supporting food security. Then Focus Areas 6, 7, 8 and 9 relate to two-way communication between government and community. Focus Areas 6 and 7 are about government exploring food security solutions and innovations that already exist within the community. And Focus Areas 8 and 9 are about governments taking those learnings about community food security solutions back up into government systems to embed them in there. And then each of these focus areas are made up of a number of characteristics, of which there are 36 in total. Now we're going to have a look at some analysis of the characteristics that were most commonly possessed by initiatives across each focus area, as well as some example activities that initiatives in the Great Southern Region are currently undertaking. So our food community team analysed the participant comments from the interviews thematically to see what the most common themes across each focus area and their characteristics are. So looking at focus area 1, initiatives across the Great Southern Region are most likely to possess characteristic 1.5, which is about identifying clear geographical or issue-based boundaries. For example, there was one initiative that worked across 4 shires in the Great Southern Region. Then at focus area 2, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 2.5, which is about creating connections with others addressing food security. For example, there were some Great Southern initiatives that focused on developing partnerships with local health professionals, schools, and organisations to support program delivery. At focus area 3, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 3.1, which is about creating a shared awareness and understanding of food security through words and images. For example, there were some initiatives that ensured that all of the images used throughout their documents were sourced from the Great Southern Region. At focus area 4, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 4.3, which is about using marketing and communication material to increase understanding around food security. For example, one Great Southern initiative would share their research outputs and reports through their website as well as their social media platforms. At focus area 5, initiatives are most likely to possess characteristic 5.2, which is about using technology to understand and share information with others addressing food security. This included Great Southern initiatives sharing information about food security electronically through social media platforms and monthly e-newsletters for subscribers. Moving on to focus area 6 now, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 6.3, which is about helping government and non-government workers consider community views about food security and take ideas into account. For example, some initiatives would deliver presentations about their activities at forums where government and non-government organisations were present. At focus area 7, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristics 7.1 and 7.2. So characteristic 7.1 is about helping politicians or elected members frame food security policy. For example, with some Great Southern initiatives, this was about when local government members of parliament would visit the initiative's office and ask questions about local food security issues. Then characteristic 7.2 is about assisting elected representatives to consider community views and ideas about food security. For example, this was about initiatives advocating to government by providing them with information about food security issues that they had gathered through their initiative. At focus area 8, initiatives were most likely to possess characteristic 8.2, which is about linking community-led activities and government strategic plans. For example, an initiative aligned their work with action areas outlined in their local government plans to support funding applications. Finally, at focus area 9, initiatives in the Great Southern Region were most likely to possess characteristic 9.2, which is about providing elected representatives with community information about food security that is relevant to their electorate area or portfolio. For example, some initiative leaders in the region would make information about their activities available on their website for elected members to access. After we interviewed people, we uploaded the data into an online tool called the Tool for Systemic Change, which we used to evaluate the initiative's work against those 36 systems change characteristics embedded across those 9 focus areas we discussed earlier. So the tool produces a variety of maps, including these region-based transition cards, and this is the Great Southern one here. So this transition card, or our systems change map, really visualises how the Great Southern Food Security System is contributing to 36 systems change characteristics across 9 focus areas. So it shows the initiatives that we interviewed down the left side there, as well as these columns which make up the 9 different focus areas. So the coloured tiles indicate whether the initiative possesses that focus area's characteristic, and each characteristic aligns with a question asked during the interview. If the tile is coloured, then the initiative possesses the characteristic, and if it's blank, they either responded no to our question or couldn't provide evidence as to how they possess the characteristic. So there's no right or wrong answer, and it's not necessarily a bad thing if they don't possess them. It just offers these windows of opportunities to strengthen different parts or aspects of that initiative through small tweaks or changes. The tool for systemic change also produces a partnership map, also known as a solution ecosystem, which shows all of the different partnerships and collaborations between the 77 organisations that we identified, and that was based on those interviews, to be working on food security within the Great Southern Region in 2023. You can also view a larger version of each region's partnership map on our website, and now we're going to have a bit of a deeper look into the Great Southern Partnership analysis. So looking at the network model type, social network analysis can be used to understand network typology and their structure as a whole. So the Great Southern Partnership map that I just showed you demonstrates a scattered fragments model, which indicates a siloed network in the early stages of development. Then 33 organisations were classified as hubs in the Great Southern Network, which means that these organisations connected with more than the average number of partners and were essential to spreading information throughout different parts of the network. Then 2 state government organisations and 1 not-for-profit organisation were critical for information sharing. 40 organisations were classified as connected components, meaning that they used their partnerships to receive and share information through their network. And finally, 4 organisations were unconnected from the network, meaning they had no partnerships. Throughout our analysis, we also identified common themes about the ways in which organisations are working in partnership in the Great Southern Region. Key themes included collaboration, coordinated action, and capacity building, food and financial donations, funding and grants for program delivery, on-ground program and service delivery, and physical and human resources. So having a look at collaboration, coordinated action, and capacity building, partnerships included formal and informal collaborations between different organisations. For example, there were some initiatives in the region that partnered to promote each other's work among the community. Under food and financial donations, several food relief initiatives received food donations from other organisations, local businesses, and supermarkets. For example, there was one food relief initiative in the Great Southern Region that received a budget from their overarching organisation, which they could allocate to food resources based on the needs of their local community. Moving on to funding and grants for program and service delivery, initiatives often received funding and grants for program delivery from multiple organisations. For example, there was one food relief initiative in the Great Southern Region that collaborated with surrounding organisations during Christmas times to support the increased demand for food. Now looking at on-ground program and service delivery, initiatives often join together to support on-ground program delivery. For example, there was a food relief initiative that partnered with a local community legal service where they referred clients to one another based on their individual needs. Finally, looking at physical and human resources, initiatives regularly shared physical and human resources, such as a community garden that's located on Shire land and supported by local community volunteers. During the project, we also asked participants what ideas they had for new initiatives or actions required to support food security in their region. In the Great Southern, common ideas included community food storage, such as community fridge spaces provided by larger organisations, local food cooperatives that gathered excess food to be boxed and distributed. There was also the idea for food vouchers for people with specific dietary needs, as well as food redistribution, for example, collecting food that supermarkets are about to throw away and have a market for local residents to purchase that food for a donation. There was also the idea for food security networks and platforms, such as a Great Southern Food Security Network that had a food security plan, which included information about healthy food policies and who to advocate to. There was also the need for better public transport to farmers markets and food shops, such as a community bus, as well as community gardens and food growing education that teaches people the basic skills to develop a home vegetable garden. And finally, there was also the idea for nutrition education and cooking programs, including high school education resources, low cost, easy cookbooks, increased awareness of processed foods, food safety training specifically on how to share and donate food, supermarket tours, budgeting, and food literacy and cooking classes for all ages. Based on our Great Southern findings, the Food Community Team has developed recommendations to support the current food security system to shift towards a more effective way of working. So, this includes that the Great Southern Food Security Initiative leaders could strengthen their food security impact by enhancing Focus Area 5 attributes. And this could be through keeping people informed about that bigger picture of food security, using technology to share information about food security, as well as connecting people who have different perspectives on food security. And finally, supporting collective learning about food security through recording discussions and ideas and making them available to others. Initiative leaders could also strengthen their food security impact by enhancing Focus Area 9 through supporting elected representatives at local, state, and federal levels to use community knowledge, ideas, and innovations about food security, as well as providing elected representatives at those local, state, and federal levels with community information about food security that is relevant to their electorate area or portfolio. Additional recommendations include food security initiatives should consider the big picture of food security when sharing information about their network and undertaking food security action, as well as support better collaborations between government and community organisations. We've also developed specific recommendations to strengthen the Great Southern Region's partnership networks, which include organisations identifying and documenting clear partnership purposes, roles, and actions. If desired, the 4 unconnected organisations should be supported to connect into their partnership network, and this could be achieved through creating a bank of region-based partnership opportunities, such as through the Food Community website, as well as interagency networking groups. And finally, the Great Southern Region should be supported to shift across the network stages by connecting organisations, increasing collaboration on small food security projects, bringing in new organisations, and implementing ways to share information. This brings us to the end of the Great Southern Food Community Snapshot presentation. We would like to acknowledge and thank our project partners and funders which are listed here. Thank you for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions, please email us at foodcommunity@ecu.edu.au. You can also follow us on Facebook to keep updated with the project and head over to our website and sign up for free to access a variety of resources.